Welcome back to Views with Hughes and Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes and got another Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker video when they made their appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Okay, so they debated with two other people. It was them as well as Piers Morgan, of course, and then you have Esther, and then you also have another person up there. I forgot his name, but he's the one that was defending the woke ideology. Okay, they're discussing, how Disney had made flop after flop, and it's a big Disney debate. They also included like several other things, other companies such as Warner Brothers in there and Barbie from Warner Brothers. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
The recent series of flops, because Disney is not used to having flops. Nelson Peltz, who's a serious investor in Disney, has criticized Disney's woke strategy in an interview with the Financial Times. He said, "Why do I have to have a Marvel movie that's all women? Not that I have anything against women, but why do I have to do that? Why do I need an all-black cast?" What do you think of this? I mean, Critical Drinker, there's no doubt Disney's in a pretty poor run at the moment. How much of that is down to woking up the movies?
I mean, I think it's definitely a factor, but it's part of a much bigger picture that incorporates other issues like a general decline in storytelling quality, a prioritization of quantity over quality, and like delving too much into identity politics, which by their nature are divisive. Of course they are. And so all of those different factors working together have slowly undermined their creative output to the point where all of their major franchises are failing. Star Wars is kind of a disaster at the moment. The Marvel Cinematic Universe that used to be this money printing behemoth is churned out flop after flop in recent years, and even their own unique animation movies like Wish.
Haunted Mansion flop, Pixar flops all over the place.
Yes, exactly. All of those different aspects of their creative output have flopped, and they've got nowhere to go at this point. Clearly, something has to change. What they're doing is not working anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Nerdrotic, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, a comic book tale featuring a strong female lead. The Marvels, a comic book movie featuring a diverse cast of strong female leads. Elemental, Disney's first animation featuring their first strong non-binary lead. All flops. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. People who are intent on attacking Disney saying, well, this is because they're pursuing a strategy that's not based on just producing great movies. They're pursuing a strategy trying to appease the woke brigade, who will come hunting for them if they deviate from the woke worldview. Your thoughts?
The woke brigade that's within their building, right? So,
right.
We see all these third-party companies in gaming that's going off right now. But like Disney is that third-party company. They are the DEI department. Lucasfilm is the DEI department, and now Marvel is too. And it was really easy for comic book fans to figure this out because we read the comic books. She-Hulk, for example, was a great comic book. It was reverent. It broke the fourth wall. That the famous run is by John Byrne, and I love the comic book. She-Hulk was a member of the Fantastic Four. This is one of my favorite female Marvel characters, and they destroyed her because they don't know what they're doing. I did a clip in one of my videos of all of the writers for most of the Disney Plus, stating that they didn't know anything about the comics and they didn't read the comics. And that's part of the reason, because they're just there for identity politics. We used to joke about they're just checking boxes when they're literally checking boxes now.
Right.
Which kills creativity.
Ernest, you'd be sitting there grimacing. Yeah. It's clearly demonstrably not working, this strategy. And I've just looking from the outside, look at it and think, yeah, they have been too concerned about identity politics, too concerned about appeasing their very woke workforce. And they should have just stuck to doing what Disney does best, make great family films and make a ton of cash.
So there's a lot of misinformation. And I think the issue is that no one here is actually really reading the real strategy. The problem is several things. There's a missing implication. There has been arguably films that were super successful. Black Panther had a predominantly Black cast, not all Black cast, and made $1.3 billion at the box office and had a really successful sequel. The reality is that when you start saying woke or DEI, you know, there's another implication there where you're implying in many ways that what is the opposite of lack of diversity in those films? It's feeding to an all white cast or majority white cast and a lack of diversity. I don't think that that's what Disney's trying to do, and I don't think that's what Hollywood should do because it doesn't reflect the society we live in. However, what's missing?
Lack of diversity? No, that Ernest got it wrong. It's not all white, you know, because you got black people as well as people of other minorities and everything who don't want this kind of stuff either. Okay, so that not the fact that he's speaking out against those who are from diverse backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds who don't want this kind of political bias stuff out there either. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, we just are, no matter what race, creed, or color, or even sexuality and stuff, we simply just want to be entertained. Okay, that's something that he doesn't get. Okay, he thinks it's some sort of alt right wing on trash people going ahead out there and just speaking all this alt right rhetoric and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, we simply want to be entertained. We don't want to be preached at. We don't want to have any kind of message interject into the movie unless it's a philosophical message and not a political message. Okay, and it's simple as that. But apparently, people like him are just not getting it. So let's go ahead and keep watching.
Spinoffs, sequels, or there's just overall fatigue in the market where people want original stories. So I do think that rather than try to make this a culture war, which really it isn't, it's more of a change in taste from the audiences and what they want. Let's keep it 100. Pixar has not really made too many original films that have really been able to be fully marketed. And there's been an oversaturation of them. There's an oversaturation of Marvel. But if you look at other films elsewhere, there has seemed to be a trend of liking diversity, TV shows, streaming platforms. And so it seems to be a little bit intellectually dishonest to frame it in this way. I think there's another way to look at it.
I'll come to Esther in one second.
And the crazy part about that whole thing is the fact that the matter is, he stated that basically the whole narrative, the status quo thing that the media is putting out there, saying that it's like people have superhero fatigue and everything. That's not it. You know, it's not an oversaturation of Marvel and everything. Back then, when Marvel actually told good stories and stuff, we didn't see it as oversaturated. We wanted more stuff from them stuff because we believe that they told good stories. Because also it was being ran under Ike Perlmutter. Okay, before he was fired by Bob Iger. And the fact of the matter is, Ernest also got that wrong because of the fact that, you know, it's not, people weren't really saturated. That's just a talking point to cover up the fact that their movies are not doing so well because of the fact that they don't want to even go ahead and get into the comic books and stuff and get good stories out of that. And some people out there state that, admittedly, they don't need any of the comic book stories and stuff. They don't want that. They've already read the comic books. Go ahead and get creative with the stories and stuff. But now we see that they're not able to. Okay, we see that they're not able to because of the simple fact that they lack creativity for these movies and stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right back into this video. Okay,
because it just did what it said on the tin, right? The guys behave like guys, the women behave like women, bad guys got slotted, and the good guys were heroes. I mean, that used to be how movies got made in Hollywood. They celebrated the basics in life. Now they're too busy worrying about what the basics in life actually are. Esther, I want to play a clip from South Park. Take a look at this.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Is that through their comedy, they often absolutely nail the truth. Esther, your thoughts?
Well, I think that the argument that they've not been making enough independent films and that's why they've been flopping. Well, the independent films that they have made have also flopped because they've not been focusing on storytelling. They're always thinking, how can I have a transgender Muslim black woman in there? And they've stopped thinking about storytelling because they actually look down on the audience that they're targeting. I also think there's another dynamic here, which is actually the media. So the media works against them. So if you actually just wanted to tell a story and the entire cast of that film was white, even before you watch the movie, all the promo will just be saturated by these sort of pink news articles saying, oh, it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's transgender. So even before the film comes out, you have media working against you. So in that, and the media will be easily disseminated. So that will kind of kill the buzz before anyone bothers to watch the film. And I think that's the issue. They've stopped respecting the audience and they feel the need to preach to them.
I just think that's so right. I just think Disney should go back to what they're good at. It's a fantastic company that used to make fantastic movies and hardly ever had a flop because they knew their audience so well and they didn't attack their audience. Sorry,
a lot of those movies were not sequels. A lot of those movies were not.
But going back to Black Panther, did Black Panther succeed because there were black people in it? No,
it was a great story.
It was a recognizable character that comic fans that I had been reading since I was 6 and 7 years old.
And the thing is, they tried to replicate the
followed
same exact formula for Black Panther with the second one, and it made half as much. Clearly,
half
people
as
were
much.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the same thing.
And no one talks about it more.
In his statement, I want to be clear that Peltz did say in that interview that basically argued that the Marvels and Black Panther, he didn't even want to get Black Panther made. And in Iger's book that he came out in 2019, he referenced that they had to fight to get Black Panther to come out.
That was Ike Perlmutter, not Nelson Peltz.
Why? Yeah, right. Why?
Who's backing Nelson Peltz? Why?
Right. Why?
They didn't think it would sell action figures, and he was obviously wrong on that one. And he didn't want Captain Marvel made either. But there's a lot of fishiness around Captain Marvel. And then when the sequel came out, which was the most predictable flop of all time, it flopped. It was their biggest flop. They didn't put any effort in it because they didn't put any. If you watch Captain Marvel and read the books that she was based on, she was Carol Danvers. She was Miss Marvel. She was a likable character. They turned her into a dude. And Kevin Feige is the one who put out the edict. He said, we're going to make half of our characters women. That's where the MCU comes from. I didn't create it. Nobody created it. Kevin Feige created it. He's the one who said, I'm going to put down this edict and I'm going to start checking boxes. And that's exactly when they started failing, right after Captain Marvel. It's been
He shut him up after that. He really shut him up after that because of the fact that this dude is Ernest, I'm pretty sure he's probably, he never read a comic book, okay? Or probably didn't read a few of them or many of them and stuff. But the fact of the matter is he was wrong on the stuff and Nerdrotic called him out on it. He tried to put out there how Black Panther was successful. Yes, it was successful. We all saw that. I saw the movie 6 times with my mom and stuff when it first came in theaters and stuff. But he also mentioned before that Black Panther Wakanda Forever was successful. No, it wasn't. I mean, at most, it didn't even break even in the box office and stuff, okay? It took them a while and stuff, and I guarantee you, probably didn't make it up to like $800, $900 million and stuff. It needed $2 billion to even break even, okay? And that's not only with the production production budget, it's also with the marketing, as well as the fees to have to pay in the global box offices, and also the fact of the matter, it wasn't even allowed to China. Okay, China didn't even allow that movie Black Panther Wakanda Forever to be played in the theaters because of the fact that it has a big Western woke ideology in the film being promoted in it, and also the movie theaters in places like in South America and stuff put postings up on outside the movie theaters to remind everybody that to be careful because this has a Western woke ideology. Okay, and yeah, it's crazy, but let's go ahead and get back into it and see what more Nerdrotic has to say.
Very few of their movies have made money because the budgets have blown up beyond we don't even know. We just learned that Doctor Strange cost around $300 million without marketing.
But by the way, that's the same thing that they did to Barbie. Can I just point that out? I know comic books are not as popular as Barbie, but I'm a huge Barbie fan. And the people who made Barbie didn't bother to watch one of the 47 animated Barbie films. If you actually are a fan of Barbie, the Barbie film that was produced last year and made all that money, it was a complete abomination because they didn't even bother to actually do any research. This is the thing. They have activists instead of filmmakers. That's the problem. And no one wants to watch something that's preachy and boring.
Candace Owens Jr., listen, it's not a flop.
It's a flop.
Barbie did the thing. Barbie
was an abomination.
And so all this argument about woke and this, at the end of the day, it was a fresh, original concept. People want to go see diverse films, but they also want to see things.
No, they don't.
So there was nothing diverse about it.
People want to see
Barbie
good films.
Oh, it's
They don't
ludicrous.
care about
And
diversity.
Barbie
they
had
don't
nothing
care
to
about
do with
political
it.
Don't all talk over each other. But let me just be
Good
clear.
movie.
To be clear, Barbie was not a film about diversity. It was a film bashing men, attacking the patriarchy, and saying that all the good things in the world are female. And the only funny thing about it was at the Oscars, it was all about Ryan Gosling. Ken had the last laugh as Margot Robbie
That was the
sat in the
irony.
seats.
It's called satire.
Yeah. That it's like Ernest is never going to get it, just like other people who aren't able to see that. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, granted, Barbie was successful. I mean, but not it was successful, but at the same time not successful because of the fact that it was geared to like they marketed it to the right people, girls and older women and stuff. The younger girls didn't really care too much about the movie and stuff, but the older women, they're the ones who played with the Barbie dolls back then and stuff. It did gross over $1 billion in box office and stuff, worldwide and everything. But the fact of the matter is, it actually set a bias, destroying the men and everything, making Ken and all the other Kens in the movie look like a bunch of dumb goofballs and stuff. You know, the way they try to go nail it to the male picture. But the fact of the matter is like you can make a movie that was inspired by girls and stuff, by the Barbie doll itself, but without having to go ahead and insult a certain sex, okay, without insulting men. I mean, it's that simple. All right. But the fact of the matter is, it was successful and stuff, but they just went about it wrong. And a lot of people don't want any movies of forced diversity and stuff. Okay, we want some good storytelling with some based on like some good philosophical beliefs and everything. And so some of us aren't really going to take to heart. We just want to go ahead and turn our minds off and watch a good movie and escape from the norms of the everyday life, the rough and toughness of life that we often try to overcome and endure. Okay, so let me know your thoughts about this interview. What do you think about it? Who do you think had the most valid points? Did you agree with Nerdrotic, Gary Buckley, as well as Critical Drinker, or do you think that they were wrong in what they were saying? You had some other points to actually to rebut against them. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional details on this particular topic that wasn't shared in the video. If you enjoyed what I shared in the video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, you enjoyed all the content I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Until then, peace.